Sometimes when you look in the mirror, your own judgment whispers, "You're not beautiful enough." This voice isn't about you. No. Your brain, shaped by millions of years of evolutionary programming mixed with the toxic messages of the modern world, has become your greatest enemy. Every day, you feel alone in this hidden battle. At 7 in the morning, the alarm rings. You reach out, silence your phone, and the reflex kicks in. You open the camera and look at yourself. Before you're fully awake, before coffee, before the day begins, this test. This small, seemingly innocent check. How do I look? But this question isn't pure curiosity. It's a trial. And you are the defendant, the jury, and the judge. The answer is always the same: not enough. As you read these words, what's going through your mind? Are you thinking, this isn't my story? Or did something inside you tighten because this morning was your morning? Maybe you feel it when you look in the mirror. Maybe when you catch your reflection in shop windows. Maybe while scrolling through social media, seeing those flawless faces. In that tiny moment, your breath catches. Your heart beats a little faster. And a voice, from deep within, whispers, "You'll never be like that." This is loneliness. The loneliness of feeling ugly is one of the most isolating experiences, even in the middle of the world's most crowded metropolis. Because it's a pain you can't share. You can't say it to anyone. Saying "I feel ugly" is almost a sin in society's eyes. Stop playing the victim, they say. Everyone is beautiful, they say. Inner beauty matters, they say. And beneath those words, you sink deeper. Because if everyone is beautiful and you still feel ugly, the problem must be inside you. Right? This is where the real manipulation begins. Right now, as you read these lines, certain regions of your brain, the amygdala, prefrontal cortex, insular cortex, are in full storm. Neuroscience tells us, when you see yourself in the mirror, your brain processes your face while simultaneously making thousands of social comparisons. And in the modern world, those comparisons are no longer just with your neighbor or friend, they're with hundreds, thousands of digitally edited, filtered, professionally lit faces every day. Your brain decides in about 100 milliseconds whether a face is attractive or not. That's faster than a blink. And these decisions are subconscious, tied to dopamine and serotonin release. When you see someone else's face, your brain's reward center can light up. But when you see your own, if your internal image is negative, you experience a cortisol spike, the stress hormone. Every time. Every mirror encounter. Every selfie. Without you even realizing it, your brain is sabotaging you. Right now, I'm taking you on a journey. Uncomfortable, painful, but necessary. Because if we don't understand the anatomy of this loneliness, we can't escape it. Noon. You've left work early, maybe heading to an appointment, maybe just walking. The street is crowded, people flowing past. And as you pass that shop window, you glance sideways. That unexpected, unprepared reflection. Your natural state. The version without posing, without preparation, without control. And you freeze. Is that me? The person in the reflection can't be you. Because the you in your head is different. Maybe a bit thinner, maybe a bit more symmetrical, maybe just something else. But the window doesn't lie. There you stand, with all your flaws, all your wrongs. And in that terrible moment, your heart races. A wave of heat rises inside. You quickly look away, keep walking, but the voice inside has already started. See? That's the truth. You're that ugly. And everyone sees you that way. Does this experience feel familiar? I assure you, you're not alone. A Harvard University study found that 97% of women have at least one negative thought about themselves every day. For men, the rate approaches 80%. And the tragic irony, everyone goes through this, but no one talks about it. Because this shame is double shame. The shame of being ugly, and the shame of feeling ashamed for it. Psychologists call this meta-shame. Being ashamed of your shame. And this creates a vicious cycle in your brain. Every negative thought strengthens the neural pathways. Neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to reshape itself, works against you here. Every "I'm ugly" thought makes that thought easier to have next time. You're building thought highways in your brain. And after a while, those highways become so wide that you can't see the alternative routes. Back to the window scene. You keep walking, but everything has changed. That reflection has poisoned the rest of your day. Heading to your appointment, you're no longer confident. Talking to the person across from you, you wonder, how do they see me? Smiling, you question, does my face look weird when I smile? Speaking, you calculate, is it my voice, my expression, my posture, what's wrong? Worst of all, these aren't noticed. First, you try to look ordinary. You act confident. You appear relaxed. Yet inside, there's constant surveillance. Constant decision-making. Constant conflict. This exhausts you. What we call cognitive fatigue is exactly this. Your brain's energy source, glucose and oxygen, is constantly spent on self-monitoring. A study published in the journal Social Neuroscience showed that individuals with low body image have an overactive default mode network during social interactions. This network is linked to self-reflection, autobiographical memory, and social cognition. So while you're talking to others, a significant part of your brain is occupied with yourself. You're multitasking, managing the interaction while constantly watching yourself. So how did this start? When was that first moment you coded yourself as ugly? Let's go back. Maybe you're 7. Maybe 12. Maybe 15. The exact age doesn't matter. What matters is that moment. That small, seemingly innocent moment that changed everything for you. A child in class might be laughing. It's about you. It doesn't matter what about your body, your eyes, your nose, or your ears. The laughter is what counts. Others join in. And there you stand, frozen, feeling something crack inside. Something breaks. Something changes. You get home. You look in the mirror. And for the first time, you see yourself through their eyes. It's no longer just you in the mirror. You're an object judged by others. And in that traumatic moment, your brain signs it. Neuroscientists call this emotional tagging. The amygdala, the fear and threat center, marks that moment, that feeling, that image with high priority. Danger. This hurts. Don't experience it again. But here's the paradox. To avoid experiencing it again, you keep reliving it. Every glance in the mirror is a return to that first wound. Every social interaction is an echo of that first rejection. Maybe your story includes parents. Well-meaning, loving, but unintentionally hurtful words. You should lose weight, your hair looks better like this, that outfit doesn't suit you. They might be trying to fix, to guide. But you, an 8 or 9-year-old child, hear something else, you're not enough as you are. Or maybe it's the media. The magazines, TV shows of that era, then social media. Perfect faces, perfect bodies, perfect lives. And you, in front of the screen, comparing. Every time, you lose. Because the game was rigged to be lost. These traumas, most of them small traumas, unseen and dismissed by others, leave deep scars in your brain. Attachment theory tells us the messages we receive early shape our relationship with ourselves and others. If the message is "you're not lovable as you are," our inner voice parrots it. For years. Decades. And you, as an adult, right now, reading these words, still hear that child's voice. You're not beautiful enough. You never will be. Now, let's turn to the modern age's greatest trap, social media. Evening. You're home. Maybe alone, maybe with others, but mentally isolated. You pick up your phone, open the app, and start scrolling. Faces. Faces. More faces. Perfect makeup, perfect lighting, perfect angles, perfect filters. And with every swipe, your brain's fusiform face area, the region for recognizing and analyzing faces, kicks into gear. Comparing. Evaluating. Judging. Here's the horrifying truth: every 10 minutes on social media increases body dissatisfaction scores by an average of 15%. That's from a University of Pennsylvania study. 10 minutes. Just 10. And how many hours are you there each day? 1? 2? More? But that's not the real problem. The real problem is that those faces aren't real. Filters no longer make subtle tweaks, they reshape entire facial structures. Enlarging eyes, slimming jaws, turning skin to porcelain. And the worst part, your brain registers it as real. Because evolution didn't prepare it for photo manipulation. Your visual cortex processes every face it sees as real. Think about it: every day, you encounter thousands of perfect faces. Each one sets a new comparison standard in your brain. People judge themselves against impossible ideals. You're fighting against non-humans. Then you take your own photo. But it's never enough. You apply filters. Once, twice, 10 times. Adjust the light. Change the angle. 20, 30, 40 shots. Finally, you pick one. Post it. And wait. Likes. Comments. Validation. This is the dopamine loop. Every like triggers a small reward burst in your brain. The nucleus accumbens, the reward center, lights up. But here's the catch: this system builds tolerance fast. 10 likes aren't enough. You want 20. Then 50. Then 100. And no number fills the inner void. Because the void can't be filled with likes. It has to be filled from within. But you're trapped in the cycle. Every post is a test. Every missing like is a failure. And you keep putting yourself on trial in this digital courtroom. Worse, the platforms know it. Their algorithms profit from your insecurities. They show you content you don't resemble. Because discomfort keeps you scrolling longer. It breeds addiction. And without realizing it, you're consuming your own pain. One study shows over 90% of young women feel inadequate because of images seen on social media. For men, it's nearly 70%. And this isn't just a feeling. MRI scans show reduced self-regulation function in the prefrontal cortex after social media use. The more you scroll, the less control you have over yourself. You, in front of the screen, are losing control. And the most painful part, you know it. A voice inside says, "Close the phone." But your hand, on autopilot, keeps scrolling. Because maybe the next image will bring hope. Maybe the next one will make you feel better. But that next one never comes. Now I will tell you about perhaps the most disturbing phenomenon: ghost mirrors. You're sitting in a cafe. Someone is across from you, or a friend, partner, family member, doesn't matter. You're talking, but at the same time your eyes scan theirs. How are they looking at me? What are they thinking? Do I look ridiculous? This is what social psychologists call metaperception. Your effort to perceive how others perceive you. But here's the strange truth: research shows that most people see you far more positively than you think. Yet you don't believe it. Because your negative self-perception is so strong that you assume others see you that way too. Psychology calls this the illusion of transparency. The fallacy that your inner experiences, your feelings, your thoughts, are visible to others. You think, everyone can see how ugly I am. But the reality is, people aren't watching you as much as you imagine. They have their own inner courts. They're fighting their own battles. Yet you can't see that. Because in your eyes, everyone is a ghost mirror. Looking at them reflects your own self-criticism. The disgust, judgment, and disappointment on their faces are mostly your projections. The external echo of your inner voice. This is the core of social anxiety. Projecting your negative beliefs about yourself onto others' eyes. and then living with that reflection. A feedback loop. You feel negative, so you think people are reacting negatively, which makes you feel more negative, which amplifies the paranoia that people are reacting even more negatively. And the worst part, this can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because in that fear, you actually behave differently. You withdraw in social interactions. You avoid eye contact. Your tone, your body language goes into defense mode. And people, evolutionarily programmed to read emotional cues, sense it. They pull back too. And you interpret it as, see? They rejected me. Because I'm ugly. But the truth is, they didn't reject you. They responded to that stay awake signal you were broadcasting. You are the architect of your own fears. The builder of your own loneliness. This hurts, doesn't it? Even reading this hurts. Because somewhere inside, you know. You know I'm telling the truth. You know you've been building the walls of your own prison, brick by brick, for years. But stop here. Breathe. Because now, I'm going to share a crucial truth. Nothing is written in fate. Every neural pathway can be reshaped. Every thought highway can be rerouted with alternative paths. Every ghost mirror can be replaced with real faces. But first, we must go deeper. Because this loneliness is not just individual. It's cultural. Historical. Universal. 1920s America. A woman opens her magazine and sees it for the first time, an ad. But this isn't an ordinary ad. It tells her, do you see your complexion? There are problems. But our product will fix you. This was one of the biggest psychological coups in marketing history. At that moment, the beauty industry discovered something: selling insecurity is more profitable than selling products. First, create the problem. You have pores on your skin. That's unacceptable. Something 100% of people have, now are a problem. Then offer the solution. A cream, a serum, a procedure. And the cycle begins. Because the product never truly solves it. If it did, you wouldn't buy again. So every product delivers short-term improvement, long-term dependency. We've reached 2025. This industry is worth billions. And it's no longer just for women. Men too. Even children. Childhood. Body. Hair. Skin. Teeth. Everything has a marketplace. Everything is purchasable in security. And here's the horrifying part: it works. Because the industry isn't just selling products. It's selling a worldview. A belief system: if you're beautiful enough, you'll be happy. Loved. Successful. Worthy. This lie taps into your brain's deepest desires. The desire to belong. To be accepted. To be loved. And the industry turns those desires into fear. If you're not beautiful, you'll be alone. Rejected. Worthless. And you, caught in that fear, spend time, money, energy, mental health, all chasing an illusion. Because that beautiful enough point never arrives. It's a horizon line. The closer you get, the farther it moves. Plastic surgeons now report patients no longer want to look like themselves. They want to look like their filtered versions. There's a term called a Snapchat dysmorphia. People go to the surgeon and say, "Make me look like I do in that app." They take digital illusions into the operating room to make them real. But surgery doesn't change the inner image. Studies show that after cosmetic surgery, happiness spikes for the first few months. But 6 months, a year later, people return to the same level of unhappiness. Because the problem wasn't the nose, the breasts, the jaw. The problem was the inner voice. The ghost mirror. The refusal to accept yourself. And the industry knows this. That's why the cycle never ends. Every surgery opens the door to the next. Every product requires the next one. And you keep searching for the exit in this labyrinth. Is there an exit? Yes. But you have to change direction. Look inward, not outward. Now, let's dive deeper into the science. To understand this loneliness, you must grasp how your brain traps you. In your brain, there's a system called the default mode network. It activates when you're idle, not focused on anything. And its main job? Thinking about yourself. Analyzing the past. Planning the future. Evaluating yourself in social situations. This network is evolutionarily crucial. Our ancestors needed to know their place in the social group to survive. But in the modern world, it's overactive. We no longer need social status for survival, yet the brain doesn't know that. It still processes every social interaction as a life or death matter. Additionally, this network becomes hyperactive when you feel bad. fMRI scans show it running constantly in people with body dysmorphic disorder, the clinical form of feeling ugly. While showering, after eating, trying to sleep. Constant inner monologue: how do I look? What do others think? Am I enough? This drains energy. Your brain uses 20% of your body's total energy. If much of it goes to constant self-monitoring, what's left for creativity? Problem solving? Deepening relationships? Inner peace? Nothing. Now, another phenomenon: negative bias. Evolutionarily, your brain gives more weight to negative information than positive. For our ancestors, missing a danger was deadlier than missing an opportunity. Hear a rustle in the forest, if you assume a lion and run but it's just wind, the loss is minimal. But if you think just wind and stay when it's a lion, you lose your life. That's why the brain is programmed with negative bias. You get a compliment and a criticism. Which do you remember? The criticism. 10 people say you look great, 1 frowns. Which do you dwell on? The frown. In self-thoughts, this bias multiplies. You may have 10 positive traits, but 1 perceived flaw overshadows everything. Now, the amygdala, the fear center. When you feel ugly, it constantly alarms: social threat. Risk of rejection. This triggers cortisol release. Chronic cortisol shrinks the hippocampus, your memory and learning center. Long-term low self-esteem literally changes your brain: worse memory, reduced learning capacity, harder concentration. Then, the insular cortex. It monitors internal emotional states but also processes social pain the same as physical pain. Studies show social rejection, or perceived rejection, activates the same brain regions as physical injury. So, the thought "I feel ugly and will be rejected" is a real wound to your brain. That's why it hurts. It really hurts. It's not in your head, it's in your neurochemistry. But here's hope: neuroplasticity. The brain can change. At any age. In any condition. If we've built negative thought highways, we can build positive ones. If we've made the amygdala hyperactive, we can calm it. If we've used the default mode network against ourselves, we can learn to use it for us. But how? That's where the real work begins. Now, the hardest question: when do you feel most lonely? The answer will probably surprise you: when you're with people. Because loneliness isn't physical isolation. It's emotional and existential. You can be in a room with 20 people and still feel alone. The inner voice and constant criticism separate you from others. They can't understand me. Because they don't feel this way. They're beautiful. I'm not. This thought is a wall. And every day, you build it a little higher. You don't share. You don't talk. You don't show. Because you're afraid, if I say it, they'll judge me more. Or worse, they won't understand, and I'll feel even lonelier. Here's the tragic paradox: the only way to reduce loneliness is to open up, share, be visible. But your fear forces you to do the opposite. Hide. Avoid. Isolate. Psychologists call this social withdrawal. It's a vicious cycle. Loneliness motivates you to pull away from interactions. But lack of interaction increases loneliness. This dulls social skills because you're not practicing. This heightens social anxiety. This leads to more withdrawal. The cycle spins. And spins. And spins. One study shows chronic loneliness affects health like smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Cardiovascular risk, weak immune system, high cortisol, shortened telomeres, your cells' aging markers. Loneliness kills you not just emotionally, but physically. The loneliness from feeling ugly is especially insidious. Society doesn't recognize it as legitimate pain. Say, I'm depressed, you get understanding. Say, I have anxiety, you find support. But say, I feel ugly and it's killing me, what happens? Eyes roll. Everyone's beautiful. Looks don't matter. Just love yourself. As if it's that simple. As if you haven't tried. This invalidates the pain. It's one of the most isolating experiences. Now you're not just fighting yourself, you're fighting society. They don't see, hear, or understand your pain. And you remain alone with it, in the dark. Ever thought, maybe everyone feels this but hides it? The truth, statistically, everyone has body image issues. Men, women, young, old, every race, every socio-economic level. But no one talks. Talking is seen as weakness. Talking gets labeled overly sensitive. So everyone wages their silent war. Everyone lives their loneliness. This creates a collective tragedy. Millions feel the same pain, but none know others do too. We must break this. The silence. The shame. The isolation. But first, we go deeper. Because this loneliness roots in your childhood, your genes, your evolutionary past. Now, let's go back in time. 100,000 years ago. Your ancestors lived in a small tribe. And in that tribe, social hierarchy was everything. Being high in the hierarchy meant better access to resources, better mate choices, better survival chances. One factor determining your place, physical attractiveness. Yes, even thousands of years ago. It signaled healthy genes, good nutrition, disease resistance. Symmetrical face, good proportions, vibrant skin, these said, I can be a good mate because I'm healthy. Evolution programmed us to evaluate physical attractiveness. Others and our own. Knowing your attractiveness helped shape social strategy. If highly attractive, you could make riskier moves. If less attractive, you had to be cautious, strategic. But here's the modern problem, this evolutionary programming doesn't fit 21st century reality. Your ancestors saw maybe 100 to 150 people in a lifetime. All familiar. All local. All real. But you see thousands of faces daily. On screens. Ads. Social media. Your brain processes each as competition. Each as someone to compare against. Your ancestors weren't bombarded with attractive people. The tribe had a natural distribution. Some more, some less. But everyone was accepted. Survival was collective. You see algorithm selected extremes daily. Social media shows not the average, the outliers. This distorts perspective. Your brain sees extremes as normal. When evaluating yourself, you inevitably feel inadequate. Your evolutionary programs mismatch your modern environment. You're the victim of this mismatch. But another dimension, mirror neurons. These neurons activate when observing others' actions as if you were doing them. Basis of empathy, social learning, cultural transmission. But side effect, you feel others' emotions as your own. Think, on social media, you see an influencer's flawless face. They look confident, happy, successful. Your mirror neurons experience these emotions. But your comparison system runs, they're happy because beautiful. I'm unhappy because not. This is a neurological trap. You compare their curated, filtered moments to your unfiltered, unprepared reality. And you lose every time. Is there an escape from this curse? Yes. But first, we return to your childhood, the time of those first wounds. Now, let's go back in time. 100,000 years ago. Your ancestors lived in a small tribe. And in that tribe, social hierarchy was everything. Being high in the hierarchy meant better access to resources, better mate choices, better survival chances. One factor determining your place: physical attractiveness. Yes, even thousands of years ago. It signaled healthy genes, good nutrition, disease resistance. Symmetrical face, good proportions, vibrant skin. These said, I can be a good mate because I'm healthy. Evolution programmed us to evaluate physical attractiveness. Others and our own. Knowing your attractiveness helped shape social strategy. If highly attractive, you could make riskier moves. If less attractive, you had to be cautious, strategic. But here's the modern problem: this evolutionary programming doesn't fit 21st century reality. Your ancestors saw maybe 100 to 150 people in a lifetime. All familiar. All local. All real. But you see thousands of faces daily. On screens. Ads. Social media. Your brain processes each as competition. Each as someone to compare against. Your ancestors weren't bombarded with attractive people. The tribe had a natural distribution. Some more, some less. But everyone was accepted. Survival was collective. You see algorithm selected extremes daily. Social media shows not the average, the outliers. This distorts perspective. Your brain sees extremes as normal. When evaluating yourself, you inevitably feel inadequate. Your evolutionary programs mismatch your modern environment. You're the victim of this mismatch. But another dimension: mirror neurons. These neurons activate when observing others' actions as if you were doing them. Basis of empathy, social learning, cultural transmission. But side effect: you feel others' emotions as your own. Think, on social media, you see an influencer's flawless face. They look confident, happy, successful. Your mirror neurons experience these emotions. But your comparison system runs: they're happy because beautiful. I'm unhappy because not. This is a neurological trap. You compare their curated, filtered moments to your unfiltered, unprepared reality. And you lose every time. Is there an escape from this curse? Yes. But first, we return to your childhood, the time of those first wounds. You're 6 years old. Shopping with mom. Trying on clothes. You look in the mirror. In that innocent moment, mom comes up behind you and says, "Yes, this suits you. The other one made you look fat." That moment. That tiny moment. It changes everything for you. You're 6 and don't fully know what fat means. But you understand the tone. The facial expression. Your brain's attachment system records a lesson: my body can be wrong. And if it's wrong, love is at risk. This is learned conditional love. You're loved not as you are, but as you should be. Maybe in your story, it's dad, not mom. A sibling. A friend. A teacher. Someone said something. Or didn't, maybe just looked. A glance. A pause. A silence. You read those micro-expressions. Children are incredibly skilled at reading adults' emotional cues. They have to be, for survival. That small cue, that signal, plants a seed in your brain: something's wrong with me. Years pass. The seed grows. Roots deepen. A tree. Massive and shady everywhere. You're trying to meet the sun under it. Attachment theory tells us early relationships form the foundation of our relationships with ourselves and others. Secure attachment, you're loved as you are, makes our inner voice compassionate. Insecure attachment, you're loved only if you meet conditions, makes it critical. The most painful part: your parents were probably well-intentioned, trying to improve you. They learned the same cycle from their parents, unknowingly passing their wounds to you. Intergenerational trauma. Body image issues aren't genetic but learned. Mothers to daughters. Fathers to sons. Through subtle words, indirect messages, their own behaviors. I'm on a diet, Mom says every evening. The child sees, learns, your body is an enemy to control. Don't get fat, Dad says, with good intentions. The child hears, records, my worth is tied to my weight. The cycle continues. Generation to generation. Wound to wound. But the good news, cycles can be broken. Traumas healed. Wounds bandaged. How? Now, right now, as you read these lines, let's start with an experiment. Look at your hands. Right now, your hands. Feel your fingertips. Feel the air on your face. Breathe deeply. And say to yourself, out loud, if possible, I am, right now, in this body. This body carries me. Keeps me alive. And I thank this body. Felt weird? Silly? Did resistance rise inside? How can I thank a body like this? This is where the real work begins. Awareness. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, teaches your thoughts affect your emotions. Emotions affect behaviors. Behaviors affect experiences. Experiences affect thoughts. A cycle, but intervenable at every point. First step, catch automatic thoughts. Today, how many times did you think negatively about yourself? I'm ugly, not good enough, disgusting? Maybe without noticing. These thoughts are so automatic, you don't see them as thoughts anymore. You see them as reality. But they're not reality. They're ideas. Interpretations. Neural functions. Like any thought, open to questioning. Changeable. Exercise. Next week, note every negative body thought. On phone, paper, doesn't matter. Just record. 9:15 a.m. Looked in mirror, said I'm ugly. Just awareness. Don't try to change yet. Observe. Because awareness is power. The moment you notice an automatic thought, it starts losing automaticity. Space opens. Ah, that thought again. I know it. My old programming. Mindfulness-based approaches create measurable brain changes. MRI studies show regular meditation reduces amygdala activity and increases prefrontal cortex, self-regulation center, activity. Less fear, more control. But mindfulness isn't just sitting in meditation. It's catching yourself in daily life, in those moments, those critical instants. You're in front of a shop window. See your reflection. Old reaction, panic, escape, criticism. New, pause. Ah, a negative thought coming. Interesting. Why did I think that? That why, that curiosity, that inquiry, changes everything. You're no longer the thought's victim. You're its observer. This takes patience. Years of programming don't change overnight. But every awareness moment is a brick. Over time, these bricks build a new structure. More compassionate, realistic, free. Now, a tough question: if your closest friend came to you saying, I feel so ugly, what would you say? Probably something compassionate. Nonsense, you're amazing. You have so many beautiful qualities. Whoever said that doesn't matter. Maybe you'd hug them. Support them. Second question, what do you say to yourself? You're really ugly. No one will love you like this. Get a grip, look at others. See the double standard? Self-compassion, pioneered by Kristen Neff. Findings are striking. Self-compassionate people experience less depression, less anxiety, better relationships, higher life satisfaction. And most importantly, healthier body image. Because self-compassion doesn't silence the inner critic. It transforms the voice. From critic to coach. Old voice, you're ugly, everyone sees it, you're shameful. New voice, you're feeling ugly right now. This is hard. It hurts. But this feeling is temporary. And you are so much more than this feeling. See the difference? The second voice doesn't deny the feeling. It validates it. But it doesn't identify you with it. Exercise, self-compassion break. Dr. Neff's 3-step practice. Mindfulness, right now, I'm suffering. This is hard. Common humanity, this suffering isn't just mine. Millions experience similar pain. Self-kindness, I choose to be kind to myself. Treat myself like I would a friend. Try this with every critical thought. It'll feel artificial at first. Ridiculous, this won't help. But the brain learns through repetition. Every self-compassion moment builds a new neural connection. Over time, they strengthen. Studies show 8 weeks of self-compassion training improves body image scores by an average of 35%. 8 weeks. 10 minutes daily. Small investment, massive transformation. But a trap, self-compassion isn't self-indulgence or self-pity. It doesn't mean if I'm perfect, flawless, everyone must love me. It means I'm human, I have flaws, and that's completely normal and acceptable. This is realism. Honesty. Freedom. Now, the hardest step, facing the fear. A core CBT principle, exposure, controlled, gradual confrontation with what you fear. Avoidance feeds fear. Every avoidance sends your brain, yes, this is truly dangerous. When feeling ugly, what do? Avoid mirrors. Photos. Social events. Certain clothes, places. Each avoidance confirms the danger. If I shouldn't be photographed, I must be truly ugly. If I couldn't go to the event, everyone would judge me. Exposure breaks this cycle. But carefully, gradually. Beginner level, look in the mirror without criticism. Just 5 minutes. Daily. Observe, don't judge. Here are my eyes. Nose. Mouth. No adjectives. Just observe. This builds habit. Your brain records mirror looking as neutral, not threat. Second level, take a selfie. Don't post. Just take. Delete or keep. But first, look at the photo. 5 seconds. 10. 30. Breathe. This is me. Today's me. And that's okay. Third level, show a photo to someone trusted. Or, bolder, post it. No filters. No edits. Raw. This starts change. When you do the avoided thing and the dreaded catastrophe doesn't happen, the brain relearns. Wait. This wasn't that bad. I survived. The world didn't end. Exposure retrains the amygdala. Each successful exposure reduces the danger signal. Over time, the alarm quiets. But key exposure must be internal too. Internal exposure? Facing feared thoughts and feelings. Not running, not suppressing. Sitting with them, watching. I'm ugly, thought comes. Old reaction, panic, distract, scroll social media, eat, shop, anything. New, stop. Okay, here's the thought. Right now. Let me look. Just look. Without amplifying, joining, or fighting. Here's the thought. A thought. Neural activity in my brain. Not reality. An interpretation. This forms acceptance and commitment therapy's core. Instead of fighting thoughts, accept and proceed. Yes, this idea exists. But it's not my idea. It's my observation. Sounds philosophical? But neuroscience backs it. Different brain regions activate for thinking and observing thoughts. Strengthening observer mode reduces identification with thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You are the one experiencing them. Now, let's do a time experiment. Imagine 10 years from now. You, 10 years ahead. Maybe older, wiser, more at peace. That future you looks at present you. Today's you. With this anxiety, pain, obsession. What does that future you say? Probably, I wish I hadn't spent so much time criticizing myself. I wish I'd lived. I wish I'd realized those flaws were what made me me. This is perspective shifting. Using temporal distancing, evaluating your current situation from a different time point. Another angle, right now, what's that flaw in your head? Nose, weight, skin, shape? Now think, if you looked at your elementary school photos, would you see that flaw in that child? Or just an innocent, beautiful, vulnerable kid? Why can you look at that child with compassion but not your present self? Because time gives perspective. Distance creates compassion. Exercise, view yourself in third person. Use your name. Jane is struggling right now. Jane feels ugly and it hurts her deeply. Jane is a good person. She deserves love and acceptance. Feels weird, I know. But research shows addressing yourself in third person eases emotional regulation. Your brain processes you like another person. And we're far more compassionate to others. Another viewpoint, if a friend had your same nose, weight, skin flaws, would you find them ugly? Or would you likely see their energy, smile, kindness, intelligence? Why can't you give yourself the same holistic view? Because you see yourself in parts. A nose, a weight, a face. But others see you as a whole. An energy. A presence. An experience. Here's a truth, people don't see you the way you think. Social psychology research proves it. Physical appearance is just one factor in evaluating someone. And over time, it loses importance. Personality, behavior, energy take center stage. First meeting, yes, appearance matters. But 6 months, a year later, no one thinks about your nose. They remember time spent with you. How you made them feel. Who you are. But you're still stuck on those initial impression parts. Still seeing a nose, a weight, a face in the mirror. Not the whole. Perspective change lets you see the whole. That you're not just a physical object, but an experience, a soul, an energy. Now, the most important question, if tomorrow every flaw were fixed and you had a perfect appearance, how would your life change? Think. Really think. Probably answers like, I'd be more confident. Start relationships. Go to job interviews. Begin that hobby. Socialize more. Second question, is it really just your appearance stopping you from these things? Or the belief that I'm ugly, so I can't believe? Here's the striking truth, often, it's not physical appearance stopping us. It's our belief about it. And that belief becomes an excuse. If I were beautiful, I'd be happy really means, my unhappiness now is due to appearance. And it's not in my control, so I'm helpless. But what if control is yours? ACT helps identify values. What matters in life? And live by them despite feelings. But I feel ugly, so I can't socialize, you say. ACT says, okay, accept that feeling. But what's your value? Connection? Then, with that feeling, socialize. This isn't trying to change feelings. It's living despite them. Because the secret, feelings may not change forever. Maybe for years, you won't fully feel beautiful. Maybe the inner voice never fully quiets. But don't spend life waiting for it to. What if you lived now, today, with these feelings? Make a list. Your values, relationships, career, health, creativity, contribution, growth, whatever matters. Then, for each, set an action. Small, concrete, doable. Relationships matter this week, invite a friend for coffee. Creativity matters this month, sign up for a drawing class. Health matters tomorrow, go for a walk. Then, the hard part, do it. Whenever I feel ugly hits, okay, noted. Still going. At first, it'll feel like war. But over time, you'll notice, life advances despite those thoughts. Experiences accumulate. Memories form. Connections deepen. And one day, looking back, with those flaws, I did incredible things. Met incredible people. Lived incredible moments. Because life doesn't wait for a perfect body. Life happens now. In this flawed, cracked, real body. Now. I'm going to share pieces of real stories with you now. Names have been changed, but the stories are real. Sarah, 34, graphic designer. For 20 years, I avoided mirrors. Really. There was only one mirror in my house, in the bathroom, and I'd only look when I had to. I never smiled in photos because I thought my smile made my face ugly. I didn't have a serious relationship until I was 32. Because I thought, who could love me? Then I started therapy. First assignment, look in the mirror for 5 minutes every day. Believe me, it was torture. I cried, felt like throwing up, panicked. But I kept going. 6 months later, something changed. When I looked in the mirror, I no longer saw just flaws. I saw a face. My face. And that face carried a story. Every line, every spot, an experience. Now, I can look in mirrors. I might not feel as beautiful yet. But I no longer feel like an enemy. And that feels like a miracle. Marcus, 28, teacher, in high school, friends teased me. They called me Dumbo ears. My ears stuck out, and I was mortified. I grew my hair long, wore hoodies, always took photos from the side. In college, I considered surgery. I saved up, went to the doctor. And in the waiting room, I saw a kid. Maybe 7 years old, ears just like mine. Sitting with his mom, smiling, playing. And suddenly, I realized that kid wasn't defined by his ears. He was a whole person. And so was I. That day, I cancelled the surgery. Now, I cut my hair short. My ears show. And you know what? No one cares. Really. They see me. Not the ears. Alicia, 42, nurse, I never went to the beach until I was 40. Because my body didn't fit society's speech-body standard. I was overweight, had stretch marks, cellulite. Then I got cancer. Breast cancer. Mastectomy. Chemotherapy. I lost my hair, my breast, control. And in those dark days, I realized something, my body was trying to keep me alive. Every cell was fighting. That uglier body was actually my greatest ally. When I recovered, 2 years later, guess what I did first? I went to the beach. Wore a bikini. With one breast, short hair, stretch marks, cellulite. I felt the sun on my skin. The waves at my feet. And for the first time, I felt truly free. Because I was no longer living for society's standards. I was living for myself. These stories aren't inspiration porn. They're real people's real struggles. And the message is, healing isn't linear. Healing isn't perfection. Healing is small steps, falls, getting back up. And each of them, on those lonely nights, was someone like you. Feeling ugly. Unable to see a future. But now, they're on the other side. Not perfect. But free. And you can be too. Now let's return to science. Because hope isn't just an abstract feeling. Hope is a neurobiological reality. The brain's capacity to change throughout life is known as neuroplasticity. Even at 70, you can form new neural connections. Old pathways may weaken. You can build new ones. What you need, repetition. Consistency. Patience. Every moment of self-compassion strengthens your prefrontal cortex. Every exposure exercise calms your amygdala. Every value-based action rewires your dopamine reward system. This isn't magic. This is neuroscience. One study showed measurable brain changes in individuals with body dysmorphic disorder after 12 weeks of CBT. Insular cortex activity decreases, less obsessive self-monitoring. Prefrontal cortex activity increases, greater self-regulation. 12 weeks. Around 90 days. Your brain can reshape itself in 90 days. But the key, active work. Not passive waiting. Not one day, I'll miraculously feel beautiful. But every day, I'll send my brain a new message. And that message, I am enough as I am. Not perfect. But human. And humanity includes flaws. And that's beautiful. Now, a practical step, change your digital habits. Social media is the cigarette of our era. Everyone Iberian knows it's harmful. But everyone uses it. Because it's addictive. An experiment, stay off social media for 1 week. Completely. Delete the apps, don't just turn off notifications, delete them. Day 1, withdrawal symptoms appear. The urge to constantly check your phone. Boredom. Stress. FOMO, the feeling of missing out. Day 3, lightening. A bit more peaceful. A bit more in the now. After 1 week, people usually report, I compared myself less. I had fewer negative thoughts. I lived more. If a week feels too radical, another approach, intentional use. Before opening social media, ask, why am I opening this? What do I want to see? How much time will I spend? Still, crucially, don't join the competition. You don't have to post. You don't need to document every moment. It's possible to just live. Because the most beautiful moments don't fit on screens. The deepest connections don't require Wi-Fi. The truest happiness isn't tied to likes. Now, let's come to building a new relationship with your body. For years, you saw your body as an object. Something to be evaluated, criticized, fixed. But your body isn't a thing. Your body is you. You are not in your body. You are body plus mind plus spirit as a whole. Somatic therapies teach us this, trauma lives in the body. Negative beliefs reside in our bodies. And the body can heal. One exercise, body scan. Lie down. Close your eyes. And feel piece by piece. Without judgment. Start with your toes. Here are my toes. They're there. I feel them. Move up. Legs, abdomen, chest, arms, face. In each area, just feel. Without labeling good or bad. Just awareness. This exercise will feel strange at first. You might feel nothing in some areas because you've been disconnected from them for years. You might feel discomfort in others. But over time, reconnection happens. You learn to be at peace with your body. Another approach, movement. Dance. Yoga. Walking. The type of exercise doesn't matter. What matters is experiencing your body as an experience, not a thing. Not to lose weight. Not to look better. Just to feel. Evaluate your body by its functionality. My legs carry me. My hands hold loved ones. My heart beats without stopping. This is a grateful perspective. And gratitude silences criticism. Now, we've come to the most sensitive topic, relationships. When you feel ugly, you experience a paradox in relationships. On one hand, you desperately want to be seen, accepted, loved. On the other, out of fear that if they really see me, they'll reject me, you avoid being seen. So you wear masks. Physical masks, makeup, clothes, filters. Emotional masks, fake confidence, distance, defensiveness. But here's the tragic irony: people might love the mask, but they can't love you because they can't see you. Real connection requires vulnerability. Brené Brown's research shows this clearly. The deepest connections form when we share our flaws, not when we display perfection. But being vulnerable is terrifying. If I show the real me, will I be abandoned? Maybe. Yes, some might leave. But those were superficial connections anyway. Real people, those who understand your worth, will stay. And even grow closer. And exercise, tell the truth to someone you trust. I feel ugly. I have for years. And it's made me so lonely. Just say it. Expect nothing. Just let that truth out. And watch. Most often, the response will be empathetic. I go through that too. I'm so sorry, I didn't know. I want to support you. And in that moment, that connection, everything changes. Because you're no longer alone. You're no longer living with hidden shame. Someone sees the real you. And they're still there. This applies to romantic relationships too. If you still feel ugly around your partner, speak up. Sometimes I don't feel attractive, and it affects our closeness. Their reaction will tell you a lot. A good person will be empathetic and supportive. If they judge or reject, it's time to re-evaluate. Because someone who can't love you at your most vulnerable doesn't truly love you. They love an idealized version of you. Now, a vital moment. Perhaps as you read this, something stirred inside you. A hope, a possibility, a thought of maybe I can change too. Or maybe you're still skeptical. This might work for others, but my situation is different. I really am ugly. In either case, recognize this moment. This is a turning point. In every change story, there's a moment. The decision moment. The enough moment. The I can't live like this anymore moment. Maybe for you, that moment is now. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe a month from now. But that moment will come. Because pain can't be sustained forever. At some point, something breaks. Either you, or the chains. I hope it's the chains that break. And when that moment comes, when you make that decision, everything will start to change. Not here. Not dramatically. But step by step, steadily. The first step will be small. Maybe you'll book an appointment with a therapist. Maybe you'll start journaling. Maybe one morning you'll look in the mirror and say, today, I'll be less harsh on myself. That small step is the domino. Once you tip it, others start falling. One step, one decision, one practice. Then another. Then another. And one day, 6 months or 2 years later, you'll look back and be amazed, how did I come this far? Because change isn't dramatic. Change is cumulative. Now, for perspective, a historical and cultural view. In Renaissance-era Europe, the ideal woman was round, soft, and full-figured. In Rubens' paintings, women appear overweight. But back then, it symbolized wealth, health, and beauty. 1920s, America. Flapper era. Ideal woman, slim, flat, boyish lines. Breasts, hips, minimized. 1950s, Marilyn Monroe. Voluptuous, curvy. Her body type would fall into today's plus-size category. But she was iconic. 1990s heroin chic. Kate Moss. Extreme thinness. Bony. Childlike. 2010s Kardashian aesthetic. Exaggerated hips, tiny waist, full lips. 2020s athleisure. Fit, muscular yet feminine. See? Every 20 to 30 years, the ideal completely shifts. And consider, in each of those eras, women felt ugly because they didn't fit that period's standard. But standards are arbitrary. Cultural. Temporary. Look at different cultures. In some African cultures, neck elongation is a beauty mark. In some Asian cultures, pale skin is ideal. In some Western cultures, tan skin is desirable. In some places, fullness symbolizes wealth. In others, thinness symbolizes discipline. In some cultures, aging is seen as wisdom and beauty. In the West, aging is a shame to hide. Here's the point: beauty isn't universal. Beauty is a social construct. And you don't have to be its victim. Ask yourself, by what standard am I judging myself? And where does that standard come from? Who, what, why? If the answer is because social media says, because magazine covers say, because ads say, then that standard isn't yours. It's been imposed on you. And you don't have to live by imposed standards. Now, a radical thought: your body is wiser than you. Your body carries millions of years of evolutionary wisdom. Every cell, every system, optimized for survival. Your heart beats without your permission. Your lungs breathe without your permission. Your immune system fights without your permission. Your body is a magnificent organism. And you blame it for being ugly? A perspective shift: see your body not as an aesthetic object, but as a functional tool. Are your legs beautiful? Who cares? They take you up mountains, to the sea, make you dance, make you run. They're incredible. Is your stomach flat? Who cares? It protects your organs, digests nutrients, nourishes you. Is your face symmetrical? Who cares? It lights up your loved ones when you smile, expresses your emotions when you speak, sees, hears, tastes, smells. Your body doesn't need to be a work of art. Your body is a tool. And it works well. This is radical acceptance. You don't have to love your body. But you can respect it for what it does. And respect is the beginning of love. Now, as this narrative draws to a close, I'll ask you the real question. What now? You've read this content. Maybe some parts resonated. Maybe some gave hope. But reading isn't changing. Knowing isn't transforming. Now, it's time for action. Today, right now, what can you do? One thing. Something small. But concrete. Maybe research a therapist. Maybe write the first sentence in a journal. Maybe delete a social media app. Maybe look in the mirror for just 5 seconds, without judgment. One step. Just one. Because the journey always starts with a single step. And when you take that step, your brain registers, I can do this. I am capable of action. I am shifting from victim to survivor. The next day, another step. Then another. And days turn into weeks. Weeks into months. Months into years. And one day, you look back and that old you, the suffering, isolated, self-hating you, is gone. In its place, a new you. Still not perfect. Still struggling sometimes. But free. Freer. And now, the most important message. You are not alone. Right now, in the world, millions of people feel just like you. They're experiencing the same pain. Thinking the same thoughts. Feeling the same loneliness. They are silent. You are silent. And that silence builds walls. But what if we tore down those walls? What if we spoke up? What if we shared? What if we said, I feel ugly, and this is an acceptable pain? In the comments, if you want, share. What did you feel? What did this content make you feel? What's your story? Because every share helps someone else. Every voice breaks the silence. And maybe, together, we can create change. Maybe we can't change social media algorithms. Maybe we can't stop the beauty industry. But in our own communities, we can start small revolutions. I'm done playing this game. I choose to be real. I choose to be imperfect. I choose to be human. And when one person chooses, others find courage. And suddenly, there's a movement. Small, but real. Now, I'll tell you science's most beautiful truth. Hope isn't just a feeling. Hope is a neurobiological reality. Your brain's ventral striatum, the region linked to hope and motivation, responds to positive expectations about the future. When it activates, dopamine is released. Dopamine drives action. It gives energy. So hope isn't passive. Hope is an active force. The thought "maybe I can change too" creates a dopamine burst in your brain. That burst propels you to act. Action creates small wins. Wins create more dopamine. The cycle spins positively. That's why hope isn't just a nice feeling. Hope is the biological engine of change. And right now, as you read these words, if there's even the tiniest spark of hope inside you, nurture it. That spark can become a flame. Now, one final visualization exercise. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And imagine 5 years from now. 5 years ahead. That future you has escaped the loneliness of feeling ugly. Still not perfect. Still struggling some days. But that pain no longer rules. How does that future you live? Where do they go? Who do they spend time with? What do they do? How do they smile? And that future you turns to the present you and says, "Thank you. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for taking that small step. That step changed everything. And now I'm here. Free. Living. Real. That future isn't a fantasy. That future is possible. If today, now, you take that step. Night is darkest just before dawn. You might be in that darkness now. At the deepest point of the loneliness of feeling ugly. And everything seems hopeless. But here's the truth, darkness isn't endless. Night turns to morning. Winters to springs. Pains to healings. And you are the hero of this transformation. You are the author of your own story. In the past, you suffered. You were judged, rejected, isolated. Those pains were real. And I don't invalidate them. I honor them. But the future doesn't have to be the same as the past. The future is open. The future is unwritten. And you can fill those pages. Today, promise yourself, I will no longer live just for my appearance. I will live for who I am. I will live for experiences, connections, moments. And I will see my body not as an enemy, but as an ally. This promise starts the revolution. Now, one final request. If this content changed something in you, share it. With a friend, a loved one, a stranger. Because words gain power when heard. If you can, share in the comments. Your story, your struggle, your hope. Because your voice can be a light for someone else. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. This kind of content strengthens this community. Every subscriber is support. Every comment is a connection. You are not alone. You are seen. You are worthy. And you are not just a body. You are a soul. You are a story. You are a possibility. And that possibility is limitless. Now, when this content ends, do one thing for me. Stand up. Go to a mirror. And look into it. But this time, look differently. Not with critical eyes. With curious eyes. Who is this person? What has this person been through? How strong are they? How resilient? How brave? Because you have lived with that inner war every day. And you're still here. That's strength. That's courage. To the person in the mirror, say this out loud if you can. I see you. I hear you. And I thank you. For continuing. For being here. And from now on, I will be kinder to you. And that moment, that simple moment, is the planting of a seed. That seed will grow. Water it. Be patient. Trust. And one day, One morning, you'll look in the mirror and realize something has changed. Your face might be the same. Your body might be the same. But your gaze is different. Because now, you look at yourself not as an enemy, but as a friend. And that is true freedom. Now go. Live. Be real. Be imperfect. Be human. And remember, you didn't deserve this loneliness. And you don't have to stay in it anymore. Light is always stronger than darkness. And the light inside you is ready to shine. Let it shine.